Good morning.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. Breakfast with Louise Hulland.
BBC
Radio Cambridgeshire.
It's 6:07. It's Wednesday, the 4th of August. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Louise Hulland in for Dotty this week. You know, there is one story that has dominated our lives since, well, way before March, actually, if you think about it, last year, and that is COVID. An outbreak of the Delta variant in China now has raised questions over how we're managing the pandemic on our own soil. More than 250 people have tested positive for the Delta variant in the province of Jiangsu. I think I pronounced that correctly. A drastic shift from zero infections in March 2020. Now, fears of flare-ups have spurred China into speeding up the rate at which vaccinations are rolled out. Kerry Allen is a Peterborough-based China correspondent for the BBC who has been following the coronavirus from the onset. And when I mean onset, I don't mean March 2020. I mean probably December 2019. Isn't that right, Kerry?
That is right. It's been a very, very long time looking at this story.
So tell us, remember a few weeks ago seeing footage of clubbers in Wuhan as if this had never happened whilst we were still sort of dealing with the rise of the Delta variant. I thought China had kind of nailed this now and they were completely back to normal. What's happened?
It had, but yeah, I mean, we have to remember that China has a huge population of 1.4 billion people. That's literally a fifth of the world's population. And what happened was 2 weeks ago, it basically was related to people or cargo coming in. There were infections at an international airport, and this spread amongst staff. And then obviously it spread amongst passengers. And now there are cases in half of China's provincial level regions. That's almost like, I mean, yeah, within 2 weeks, the equivalent here would be it's spreading to half the counties in the UK. And there are cases now again in Wuhan that was the original COVID-19 epicenter. And they haven't had cases of COVID-19 since June 2020. So for over a year, they've not had a single case. And now there are cases again. So, yeah, it gives you an indication of just how, you know, people coming into the country, cases can just all start up again. And China has got a huge vaccination rate as well. So, yeah.
It must be pretty emotionally draining for you, Kerry, because obviously you're working from home in Peterborough. You've got all the lovely areas of Peterborough on your doorstep, and yet you spend your days and probably nights as well monitoring all the news from China. On a personal level, did your heart just sink when you saw these cases? Because there's something quite symbolic about it being back in China, isn't there? Because we know it's sort of popping up all over the world and getting worse in many places. But from China going from so low rates to high again, it must have had a bit of an impact on you emotionally.
It does, yes. I mean, there is, you know, part of you knows that it also affects trade as well. So if there are lockdowns in cities, that has a knock-on effect for goods actually kind of coming to the UK and other areas. But you can still feel now, I mean, yeah, my job is basically it's watching TV, it's reading newspapers, it's looking on social media. And you just, you know, yesterday when I was reading about cases being back in Wuhan, you can just feel, just reading people's comments, that people's hearts are sinking because, I mean, in China, it's the case that you've not got different TV stations giving different opinions on, you know, the economy versus people's health. Every media outlet was giving the same message that this virus is serious. So from the day dot, China was taking this very, very seriously. People were wearing masks. They weren't leaving their homes. That their whole consideration was just staying safe and keeping their families safe. So for cases to be back in Wuhan, which, you know, people all around the country felt united in, you know, Wuhan having the most severe lockdown. People couldn't leave their homes for 2 months, like they couldn't even step outside. You can just feel that people feel emotionally drained and they feel really sorry for these people that they might have to go through this again.
Now, you obviously have this very unique position in speaking Mandarin, having a real insight into Chinese culture, and of course living here as well. When you compare the two responses, especially as we're feeling so positive about our slow drop in cases now and the great vaccine rollout, how do you think both countries fare as we sort of start to look down the barrel of autumn and winter?
Well, I'm not sure. I think there have been positives and negatives from both. I mean, I think one thing that China does very, very well is that if there are cases in, say, a city, literally the street that somebody's tested positive on, that whole street, what will happen is that people from outside will deliver food to the area, and they'll make sure that people get the healthcare they need. There's a real community spirit, so people really pull together and make sure that people are not down and are safe during this time, which I think is quite good. And it means that other areas, say if you're a local business out in the UK, I don't know, say out in the Fens, you've got a tiny little pub, it means that your business isn't affected. So, in China, that approach would be good for kind of more rural areas. I mean, I know here in the UK, there was criticisms about the tier system, that certain areas locked down, but that worked really well for China. So there were benefits there. At the same time, though, the impact that serious lockdowns have on people's mental health, I think this is something that in the UK we're going to be, I think we see it already, that there has been a big impact, and I don't think China probably covers this as well as it should. But these lockdowns have been quick and fast, whereas here in the UK we had a situation where lockdowns kind of simmered for a long time. I think there are positives and there are negatives. But yeah, looking towards winter, I think there is this expectation now with the Delta variant that we are going to see a resurge in cases. But I think when it comes down to it, it's I think both people in China and people in the UK are united in the same kind of thought of, making sure your loved ones are safe, either through vaccination or by wearing a mask or just washing your hands. I think just looking after them, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, is probably the most important thing.
Kerry Allen, Peterborough-based China correspondent for the BBC, thank you. And let me just say, if you don't follow Kerry on Twitter, please do, because every morning, while she's been working from home, Kerry posts a picture of yourself, don't you, Kerry, having a cup of tea, saying, if you're on your own, if you're feeling a bit blue, join me for a cuppa. Every morning, Kerry, I've been joining you for a cuppa. Even though we've never met, I feel like we're best mates. Keep up the good work. You've lifted my morale every morning when I see your cheery face and your lovely kitchen and your big cup of tea. So keep up the great work. That's Kerry Allen there, a Peterborough-based China correspondent. Best job ever. How interesting. Right, it's 7:54.